And then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or look, there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform signs and wonders to lead astray, if possible, the elect. But be on guard. I have told you all things beforehand. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But concerning that day or that hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, keep awake, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to stay awake. Therefore stay awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or in the morning, lest he come suddenly and find you asleep. And what I say to you, I say to all, stay awake. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. These are the words that Jesus just said will not pass away. Well, after a 2-week pit stop in Ephesians 4, we are getting back on the road and continuing our trek through Mark's gospel. We'll be here until about late October. We have finally made it to Mark chapter 13. Now, I know because you've told me, some of you have been looking forward to this chapter. Some of you have been dreading this chapter. Some of you don't know what you're about to get into with this chapter. But chapter 13 of Mark is about eschatology. Eschatology. Now, that's a big word. In our youth group, Ryan, Eric, and the other leaders, they go over theological words, which I love. So let's see, any middle or high schoolers, who knows what the word eschatology means? Shout it out. You don't know, Andrew. I'm worried what you'll say. Who knows? Study of the end times. Very good. Study of the last things. It's the doctrine of future events. That's what eschatology means. And you don't have to remember that title, but that's all of what Mark 13 is about. And this is a topic where things can get really weird really fast. There's so many unhelpful approaches, like newspaper exegesis, where we read these texts with the Bible in one hand, newspaper in the other hand. So every news story, every conflict in the Middle East, it's suddenly filled with theological significance. Or we can read these passages like a decoder ring. You remember Ralphie from A Christmas Story, getting his decoder ring to decode the messages on the radio. So we can think that we're reading biblical prophecy. We have to decipher the secret, mysterious messages hidden within. Hopefully a little better than, drink your Ovaltine that Ralphie got. Sometimes we read these passages like the telephone game. One person tells another person something. It gets passed down the line from person to person to person. By the end, what happens? It gets totally distorted, right? It's a totally different message. So you may have heard something about the end times from a friend who heard it from a pastor, who read it from a book, who the author heard it from a conference, and on and on and on. But what we all need to do is read and wrestle with the biblical text on our own, on your own, personally. Don't just take what people have told you or what you've always heard. Don't even just take what I'm telling you this morning. Be good Bereans. Check what is said in this pulpit every week according to the scriptures. That's the authority. But the truth is, none of these approaches to eschatology are particularly helpful. So today, I want us to adopt a principle that's going to be a huge help for us as we study this chapter, which we'll be studying it for the next 3 weeks. This isn't original to me. It also applies to the whole Bible, but it's especially helpful with a difficult passage like this. So our big idea today is this big principle. A biblical passage can't mean for us right now what it never meant for them back then. If you only take away one thing from this sermon, I want this to be crystal clear. A passage cannot mean for them back then, that is, or for us right now, here at Clover Hill in the 21st century. It can't mean for us what it never meant for them. The original audience back in the first century who would have originally received the Gospel of Mark. Now, this should be common sense. As an example, we just celebrated America's 250th birthday. So if you want to understand a document like the Declaration of Independence and how it applies today, what do you need to understand? You should know the context of what happened in 1776. You're not going to be able to understand and apply if you don't know the historical context. It's the same with the Bible. So we're going to work through this passage just by asking two really important overarching questions. What did this mean for them back then? And what does it mean for us right now? What did it mean for them? What does it mean for us? Let's begin by looking at what this passage meant for the original audience that Mark was writing to in the first century. Earlier, we read the whole chapter to get the context. We will spend 3 weeks in this chapter, but today we'll be focused on verses 1 through 13. But at first, we're going to be kind of zoomed out, looking at the big picture. As we move in, we're going to kind of zoom in to look at those particular verses. And for context, this is still the Tuesday of Holy Week, the week before Jesus died and rose again. This is what we've been calling Entrapment Tuesday. And I did look back. We have been on Entrapment Tuesday since April 19th. So, long day. We've got a few more weeks to go on it. But that morning, Jesus traveled into Jerusalem. He cursed the fig tree. And he spent the entire day answering trap questions from phony religious leaders. He answered them brilliantly. And now Jesus and the disciples, they are leaving the city of Jerusalem in the